Warm welcome to everyone who has gathered today for discussion of yet another film on Talking Films Online. Talking Films Online, or TFO in short, is an informal coming together of academics, teachers, students, researchers, filmmakers, cinephiles interested in cinema, more importantly, interested in talking and writing about cinema. The online group came together quite spontaneously during the pandemic and lockdown in June 2020. Dr. Geeta Vishwanath and I have been coordinating the activities of TFO since its inception, with people like Sanjay Kumar, Sridhar Modugu, K. Phaniraj, Ajanta Sarkar, Murali Krishna, Tarakeshwar VB, Yagneshri, Rasha, and Madhurima, and many others who join the weekly discussions and enhance the quality of the discussion. So far, we have organized 216 online events. In fact, this is the 217th one, which include weekly discussions on a pre-decided film, besides a few month-long film festivals and discussions. For instance, this year in January, we had a Farmers Film Festival, and in March, we had a series of discussions on Kumar Shahani's films as a way of paying tribute to him. In September, we had a Kannada movie month where filmmakers like Prithvi Konanur, Srinidhi Bengaluru, and screenplay writers like Ananta Chandreya joined the discussion. Sometimes personnel from the film industry, such as directors, cinematographers, actors, not only join our weekly discussions, but also make available their films exclusively for TFO members to watch by generously sharing links to their film. And they also join the discussion. We've had directors like Utsav Gonwar, Jayant Cherian, Girish Kasarwalli, Adur Gopal Krishnan, Aparna Sen, Anjali Montero, and KP Jaishankar. And now Sashikanth Ananthachari has made available the link to his film KELAI Draupadai, which we are discussing today. During June this year, to mark the 4th anniversary of TFO, we had organized the 4th smartphone short film competition for students between 18 and 25 years of age, and we had a grand awards ceremony where the winners of the competition were announced. Recently, on September 30th and October 1st this year, we had the first TFO International Seminar on Indian Cinema in the Digital Era, Continuities and Discontinuities, in collaboration with FCT Baroda. It is special that the keynote speaker of that seminar, Professor Swarnavel Eswaran, is going to initiate discussion today on the film KELAI Draupadai. Our aim is to get a conversation going around cinema and to get as many people involved in the process as possible. With most of our events being online, anyone and everyone interested in cinema is welcome to our forum. We have a blog called talkingfilmsonline.wordpress.com where we encourage all kinds of writings on cinema. We have a YouTube channel called Talking Films Online where you can watch some of our discussions. We are on Facebook. TFO is a private group on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp as well. The maker of the film KELAI Draupadi, Sashikanth Ananthachari, has joined us for the discussion today. The film, a documentary on the Mahabharata Kuthu festivals in Tamil Nadu, was awarded the best foreign film at the DIY Film Festival Los Angeles in 2016. It was also the official selection at the Blow Up Chicago International Film Festival in 2016. Currently, he is working on a project titled Performance Traditions of Mahabharata in Tamil Nadu for IIT Madras and NPTEL, TEL. This is for a 24-week online course dealing with this tradition, straddling visual ethnography, aesthetic and performance theory, sociology, and art history. It's an ambitious project, which is an encapsulation of all the work that he's been doing for the last 15 years. His work is a part of his quest for the idiom of village traditions in Indian cinema. His writings on both oral traditions and cinema have also been presented and published in various forums. He has curated and presented Bala Kailasam's films at the Science International Festival, Kochi, where he presented a paper remembering Kailasam, giving an overview of the pioneering work that he had done in Indian television, which was published in their journal in 2015. He has presented a paper being a documentary filmmaker at the Tamil, Hindu and Madras University organized conference on documentary cinema, which has brought out a commemorative volume, which was brought out in a commemorative volume by the Hindu group of publications in 2016. His article titled A Festival of Memories on the Terukuttu Tradition of Theatre was published by the Sangeet Natak Academy in their February 2019 edition. The discussion on the film today will be initiated by Professor Swarnavel Eswaran. Swarnavel is no stranger to Talking Films Online. He's a well-wisher of this forum and has joined many of our earlier discussions. Swarnavel Eswaran is a graduate of the Film and Television Institute of India and the prestigious Film Studies program at the University of Iowa. His recent documentaries include Tsunami Waves from the Deep in 2018, Hmong Memories at the Crossroad 2016, Migrations of Islam 2014, and Unfinished Journey, A City in Transition in 2012. He's professor in the Department of English and the School of Journalism at Michigan State University, and his research focuses on the history, theory, and production of documentaries and the specificity of Tamil cinema and its complex relationship with Hollywood as well as popular Hindi films. His books include Cinema, Manudumam, sorry, I can't pronounce. Mandi Idudalam. Yes. An anthology of essays on documentaries and experimental films in Tamil and Madras Studios, narrative genre and ideology in Tamil cinema, which was published in 2015. His fiction feature, Kattumaram, a collaboration with Tamil cinema's leading director Miskin, is currently in the film festival circuit. Recently, as we all know, his Tamil book with Nilal Arasu has been published, which I understand is a poetic tribute on a number of filmmakers like Kurosawa, Varda, Satyajit Ray, V.K. Murthy, and others. A warm welcome to both of you on Talking Films Online. And it's now over to you, Swarnavel.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Geeta. And thank you, Sashikanth, for this opportunity. And also, I am so glad that this you said 200 and plus version 217th if I'm right. So that is a big achievement, as B.K. Cherian sir has mentioned in his book. This is one of the ways we can keep the film society movement alive, because it's very important not only to watch film but have a space to discuss, which is increasingly disappearing nowadays. Whereas access to films become more easier, but the spaces for discussion as a community together is has almost vanished, except for forums like this. So I really appreciate this. I know how much of work goes into it, particularly Geeta and you, Nikhila, your academicians as well as creative artists. So this is a very big thing which we are doing, and also I really thank all the participants, because without them this is not possible. So to talk about today's film and filmmaker, my relationship with Sashikanth goes a long way back. He was a junior at the FTI. He almost joined when I was graduating, and Sashikanth's career is illustrious. He has worked with as a cinematographer with some of the best in the field, like Aparna Sen, Amitabh Chakravarti. He has also done tons of documentaries, very significant films as a cinematographer and as director. And his collaboration with Bala Kailasam is very well known. This is the work he has been doing on Mahabharata has been almost, I would say, kind of apotheosis in his career, and he has been focusing on it for more than a decade now, which is very rare among filmmakers to work on a project like that. Naturally, the output is also phenomenal, both in terms of films, in terms of books, in terms of essays, in terms of discussions, he has had on Mahabharata, and also as a teacher, teaching Mahabharata now. So I'm very happy about it, that because Great artists, like including Manikal, had great regard for Mahabharata. Many of the classes, when we used to come to FTI, and later even here when I met him in the US, there will always be references to Mahabharata. So, just as many of us know through Paula Richman that there are many versions of Ramayana, and I would say it would apply to Mahabharata as well. There are many versions. Sashikanth focuses on the Kuttu version, a folkloric version in Tamil, and particularly as it is enacted in the northern Tamil Nadu area, which has a long tradition, which has a long and a glorious tradition, I would say, where Kuttu artists are still active and alive, and this kind of performance is a living tradition, particularly in northern Tamil Nadu. So Sashikanth has been doing, documenting this for a long time, and then finally he comes out with this trilogy. So KELAI Draupadai, as Draupadi's name is mentioned in Tamil, is the first of that trilogy. When I watched the film, I was overwhelmed when I watched it the first time, because it is almost like a professor is shooting a film. It is academically very dense, it's because it's highly researched, while at the same time you can see that it is also a work of great master filmmaker, because Sashikanth has the advantage of being a cinematographer director. He handles the camera himself. You can see overall the kind of the lighting throughout the film, or even throughout his aura. You can make it out, it is a very signature kind of style where it doesn't hurt your eyes. At the same time, it's not overt, but at the same time, you can see that there is a kind of form and content synergy in his works. So here there are many sequences, that right in the beginning you can see, about which I've written about and spoken about a lot, about this performer, going in the cycle. And then Sashikanth just follows. It's an extraordinarily long take. He holds the camera for a long time, and he creates a texture, the mood. Because we saw these artists, getting the makeup done, and then we see the environment in the landscape, and then the way he kind of bookends, that long take. It's very unique shot. So like that, there are so many great moments. I would again go back to Manikal, to just to frame, this discussion. That is, Mani talks about, in the context of Ritwik Ghatak, he talks about how there are, directors and artists invested in the dramatic analytic form, and there are others who are interested in the epic form. So then he also talks about most filmmakers are invested in the dramatic form, including people like great masters like Ray. So how does that differ from the epic form? In the dramatic form, you have the hero's arc, or you have the narrative leading you towards an ending, towards a climax, and there is a cathartic moment. Whereas in the epic form, it works differently. It's not about one particular ending, but there are many layers. The focus is not just on the plot points or the progression of the narrative. In the epic form, it is also about talking about history, talking about milieu, talking about textures and tones, as we can see in Shashwat. So here I should also quote Kumar Shani, when he used to teach us, when the question used to come up, about trying to understand his narrative. So you will talk about how there are, modular references, in his film. Because, those references refer, any particular scene or shot might refer to a painting. So, he was more invested in that kind of a space, layers, which again, harks back to this epic form of thinking. Right? It's not just about a linear way of storytelling in the epic form. So you can see that, in KELAI Draupadi, it has, layered. It talks about the history of the folk form. It talks about the history of the way it is performed in this particular locale. It also talks about the history of Mahabharata traditions, and it talks about the history of Kuth itself. And then you also have, the history of the artist and the landscape, and more importantly, the performance itself. So one way to think of, in the context of this film particularly, is how, it's not about a performer on stage performing to an audience who is outside of it. It's about as if, the lines between the performer, the participants, / the audience is blurred. So I would invoke Sashikanth quoting another, folklore expert, M.D. Muthukumar Swami, a scholar on folklore, who talks about how in Kuth or this kind of folk traditions, the line between ritual, performance, and life is blurred. We can see here how the whole village itself, how the whole community itself becomes in a way performers and participants, and also actors in a way. So the idea of, that stage and then, the audience outside is undermined. So that is one very important, aspect of this Kuth form, where it's more like a communal event, but in the real spirit of that, phrase, when we talk about a communal event. And this leads us, that what is the discourse? Yes, the whole community is involved. So here the discourse is about, Mahabharata as performing Mahabharata as creating a space for peace, for pacifism. It's an anti-war, kind of statement, that is made through the entire, performance, the entire, colorful activities of the entire community. So that's very important for us to keep in mind, because it kind of undermines the idea that, Mahabharata is about war. Because you will have the, photo of Kurukshetra, and you have superstition, where people will say, oh, Mahabharata, there will be a fight, or, so here, Sashikanth goes into the villages, and he talks about, how it is totally kind of the focus is on the other side. It's about through Mahabharata realizing the space for, peace, pacifism. So that is one thing, which I wanted to kind of point out, and which Sashikanth also talks about in details, in his discussions, in various forums. And the other thing I wanted, to foreground is that, say, for example, in the rituals, part of it, say, possession. So from a very Orientalist perspective, possession is, something which is to be treated, that which is like not normal. But in the performative tradition, as we see in Sashikanth's work, also, in the footage for his, second and third parts of this film, you will see that, possession is something, which the people there take it, as normative. You can call it, that it is a space for their own catharsis, whatever label you give. But their performative self is not alien to their self, to their lived reality. They don't look at performing as separate, from their day-to-day activities. So that's something which is coming through, that how that performance is a part of lived reality. Not only in terms of that performing a play in the Kuth form, but also this kind of a performance which is related to something more interior, more personal, more psychological, like possession. And then that when we think of Sashikanth's journey into this, this KELAI Draupadi. He says that it all began with his journey towards uh, finding an answer for a question. That what is Indian about Indian cinema. So it is a search for that particular question and its answer, his quest that led him to Vyasa's terrain, because Sashikanth talks about how is there a kind of a Indianness, or what is Indian about Indian cinema? The question my professor Philip Ludendorff asked and wrote a long essay. So it resonates with that. So here you will find that that it leads him from his question on cinema to the form and content of an Indian film, to Mahabharata, to Vyasa's terrain, and here we find everything comes together in Vyasa's Mahabharata. The idea of the epic form, which again has to do in terms of going back to Manikal, that yes, the narrative and the content when we talk about the epic, but also through form. Mani was always talking about how the progress towards catharsis or an ending in terms of content is also reflected in the form where you progress through the idea of perspective during the Renaissance paintings towards a horizon where everything merges. Whereas that in his own work, Mani focused on Indian paintings, where you find that it's more about scrolling vertically, not going towards a horizon where lines will meet. So in Sashikanth's form also we can find that that kind of a search is there, but it is extremely original in Sashikanth's case, because he focuses on a certain kind of ethnographic documentary. So it is about there are contingencies, as Mani would say, but more importantly, that he is also trying to speak through the landscape and the people and the contingencies of performance itself. So that makes his work unique. And so these were some of the points I wanted to talk about as an introduction to Sashikanth. What I feel is Sashikanth's take on Mahabharata and how he approaches Mahabharata, and the performance of the entire community. That again I think is very important factor, because that is one way this also becomes, in a very different sense, a people's theater. Because generally, when we talk about people's theater, we talk about the politics, the political part of it, which is important, because as I said, this KELAI Draupadi itself is a film which is making a statement against war, but at the same time, this people's theater is also about form. The politics is both in its aesthetics and politics, content, form and content. So I would stop here, and then we can have the Q&A with Sashikanth. So I will also be joining. I will also be continuing my questions with Sashikanth. So thank you, Sashikanth, for this wonderful film.
Thank you very much for flagging a number of issues in these remarks, but not over-interpreting the film, leaving a lot for discussion to all of us.
Yes.
The film is now open for discussion. If anyone wants to pick up from where Swarnavel left off, you're most welcome. Please unmute yourself so I know that you want to speak. Anyone who wants to begin?
Can I come in, Nikhila?
Yes, Geeta, please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Swarnavel, for introducing the film. And thanks a lot, Sashikanth, for that film. I mean, Mahabharata is my all-time favorite story. You can call me a Mahabharat junkie. And so I absolutely loved watching the film. And I was not even aware of this Kotu festival. So I think your film performed the very fundamental function of a documentary by making people aware of the very subject that you chose to film. And having said that, I thought the way you involved the uh, people, you were not shooting just the performance, but also the responses of the audience. So it was very clear that it was an embodied experience for them, with some of them, feeling possessed about, getting possessed about some of the scenes that were shot, and then somebody was crying and somebody was laughing, and it was so much a part of that 18-day routine that some of them were even sleeping. They were just, sleeping over there without feeling embarrassed about sleeping during a performance or anything of that kind. So the whole thing was very organic, and it seemed so integral, a part of their routine for those 18 days, that performance. So I thought it was the way you integrated the performance and the narrative and the audience responses, that was very well done. Thank you.
Thank you. And here, I would like to just make one statement. The entire festival is structured around a 14th century text called Veli Bharatam and a 19th century text called Nallapillai Bharatam. That is the overall outer framework, which is very important actually. So that is what is reframing the Mahabharata for the village audience. And the village also reframes the Mahabharata. So the thing is, there is no, each village, the festival is different. So that also has to be, it comes in the longer course. Each village inscribes itself with the Mahabharata. Recently, I shot in a particular village where the entire Mahabharata is just recited. But for 2 days, the entire war is performed as a ritual. Okay, and it is like till the burning of Arjuna's chariot, which is when the war ultimately ends. So the entire thing is for 2 days, they just perform the ritual. 18 days of war are not shown because they do not want to depict war. So there's no theater here. It's only storytelling and 2 days of ritual. So each festival is different, right? Unique by itself. People will go to one festival to see the Aravan. There's the Arkat Aravan. Okay. Arjunan Tapas will be Manamati. So it is like each village inscribes itself. It becomes a Mahabharata of that village. Like Swarnavel was saying, no, that the multiple Mahabharatas, every village gets its own. So that's what I would like to add. And the text is extremely important. It's not how it is perceived is also anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Vijay Kumar Borati, I think you had unmuted yourself. Please go ahead.
No, I will pitch in later, not now. I'm just jotting down some of the points that I would like to speak later.
Okay, sure. I wanted to actually talk about two aspects that were fascinating for me. One, of course, the film itself is so rich. I thought I would, and I think I discussed this with Sashikanth as well. I thought I'll just watch the documentary and think of the other three videos as additional or complementary information, but then I just couldn't stop myself. I went on one after the other, and the third and the last one, in fact, I finished watching just an hour ago. They were all thoroughly engrossing. So I was wondering about the two aspects. One is how when you're talking about in fact there is a passing reference about the process of evolving consensus for conducting this festival and the various differences with regard to caste that may come up, and the kind of prestige or status that they are allowed for. So in today's volatile political situation in the village, it looks like this festival stands as something really out of the political cauldron, because everyone seems to be coming together, and if there are differences, they are somehow overcome to make it happen. So in this time of political mobilization, what has been the nature of change? Because you only allude to the Pallavas and the Chalukyas and their war. Surely the contemporary times, contemporary politics must also be in some ways shaping what is happening with the festival. This was one observation. The second is when
I would like to answer this first. It's an important thing which you have raised. I would like to answer this first.
Okay.
Basically, everyone says the festival is performed to create samarasam or peace and harmony in the villages. And in some villages, the festival has not happened for 12 years because of fights between communities. And then some guy would go and hoist a false flag, which means the festival will be held. So it is like holding a gun to the village, saying that you want the festival to be held. So it's all not hunky-dory, but it works. And during the time of the festival, earlier disputes are resolved. So in one village which I shot, the moment the true flag is hoisted, all the communities had to garland each other. Okay, but tensions are there, and tensions flare up during the festival itself. And other festival which I was shooting, it's very difficult because the festival costs quite a lot, 35 lakhs. 5 villages were conducting the festival together. And then there was this entire thing about which village gets more prestige there. So some young men from a smaller village had come drunk and they tried to disrupt the festival. But the organizers were prepared for that. So they had garlands and they garlanded everybody. And the problem was resolved. But there are some tensions which cannot be resolved. It's what do you say, take more time, and because the festival is popular, people take the effort to resolve these things. Festival is not popular, then the conflicts would be irreconcilable. It cannot be resolved.
I was wondering at its reflection at the narrative and performative level. So one is to make it even happen, but second, does it get at all reflected in narrative? For instance, in Yakshagana, you might have references to contemporary politics. So something like that, does that happen, was my question.
All these are contiguous forms, no? Yakshagana and Kuthu and but this festival is much larger than the Kuthu, right? Okay, because for 20 days, the entire Mahabharata is narrated. Okay, that only after that it is narrated. The festival starts, theatre starts with the Swarnavel of Draupadi. Okay, what happened, the entire lunar dynasty story is all narrated. So the audience are, ready to see what unfolds. And again, it's very complex, and because in the Mahabharata, the first voice which is heard, which is a voice of the vanquished. Dhritarashtra is the first person who speaks. Okay, he says that I saw no difference between my sons and the sons of my brother Pandu, but I was a stupid father actually. And then he says, he enumerates a number of times he could have stopped the war. Okay, and these are the things that performed. So he says that when Arjuna bent the bow, I knew the war was lost. So these are the 11, 12 instances which he narrates, where he knew that his sons were finished, and where he could have intervened and stopped. And because of his own blindness, he didn't do. Okay, that is what is being performed. So in that sense, it's also very, at a village level, there is that understanding. Okay, they say that when Arjuna carried off Subhadra, I knew the war was lost. I think Preetham wants to say something.
Yeah, I will come to you, Preetham. I have two other points to make. I will just make those points quickly and come to you. The second point that I wanted to ask you about is, while you talk about Aravan, Aravan is also, I think, an important deity for transgenders. There is nothing of that reference that we get, here. So I was just wondering about that. And the third point, which is like a kind of question that I had, with regard to the three different kinds of performance, the three different kinds of elaboration that you have, the rituals that are conducted, the narrative, the storytelling that happens, and the performance. You keep mentioning that. So there are scholars of translation studies here like Tarakeshwar. I was just thinking of it. I mean, these are three almost like parallel texts. Initially, I was thinking of whether one can see it as see the rituals as a kind of intersemiotic translation of the narrative or the performance. But it seems to me that these three are like parallel texts because translation, I think the relation of translation also must have a precedent and an antecedent, whereas these three don't seem to have that kind of a temporal relation at all. So it was also a curious way of, how does one look at these three conceptually. So your film also raised that question as well. I'll open it out now to others. Preetham,
Yeah, I'll answer these two right now. The first is Aravan. In this festival is seen as the ultimate observer. In any village you go to, okay, you will see heads of Aravan. The body will be destroyed. It will be kept on top of the temple. So it's one is how many times the festival has been conducted in that particular village. The second thing is that Aravan is watching the Kurukshetra. Every year the festival is celebrated. They have to make Aravan, and Aravan will come to watch the Kurukshetra, and finally will be put up on top to watch the Kurukshetra of our lives. So that is it has here it's the idea is more philosophical rather than the transgender festival. The strand is the same narrative is there, but this narrative of Aravan is common across, stretches across India. It's called he's called Barbarika in Andhra, and etymologically that is a root word for the word barbarian. Okay, so again he has to be killed before the war. He's called Kattusham in Rajasthan. Okay, he's called Airavan in Assam. Again, on top of a hill, he'll place the head of Airavan, who keeps watching the Kurukshetras which are happening in our lives. So that is he is seen in these festivals as the ultimate observer. Okay, he's almost a fly on the wall. He's watching.
That I get, except that there is no reference at all to how central he is for transgenders. Maybe in the village that you, in the villages that you filmed.
So that's a different festival. The transgender festival is a different festival.
Okay.
Here, Aravan has a different.
Okay.
He underlines the anti-war thing. He's the first of the children. There, it's very clearly articulated. He's the first children of the Pandavas who was killed, and then all the children are killed. And finally, it leads to Arjuna adopts Karna's son as his son, because his children have been killed. And he is killed when they go for the Ashwamedha Yagam. So the entire thing is about war doesn't respect kinships. The person on the other side is enemy. He can be a father, brother, mother, sister, whatever. Huh? If you're on the other side, you're the enemy actually. And so that is the anti-war thing. Nah? Arwan is put up there. And that is what this functions brilliantly there. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Preetham,
the other thing about the ritual, what you said, the ritual functions as a long shot in terms of, I'll give a very weak cinematic analogy. It is like the long shot. The person who knows the Mahabharata thoroughly, that is enough. Now, just seeing the ritual, one can see what happened before, what happened. The storytelling is like a mid shot, which gets into detail. Okay, it gets so you know the narrative. The Kutu deals with the emotion. It's like a close-up. Okay, which goes to the jugular. Then you know what you're actually watching. So that is the thing actually. For the lesser knowledgeable, the Kutu is the introduction. For the person people who have seen the Mahabharata, the ritual alone will be sufficient. Okay, that you can move on. And the rituals are also as spectacular. The killing of Duryodhana, the ritual is spectacular. It's like it's not a. So that is the thing, and I elaborated more in the course. So if you join the course, it starts on January 30th. You will see the entire elaboration. Okay. I think people, you have seen 3 videos, so you know what I'm speaking about. And people who have just seen the film might not be able to join. And Preetham has worked with me on this project, so I would like to hear Preetham on this actually.
yeah, please go ahead, Preetham Chakravarti.
Hello, hi. One of the things that Arvan's festival is a separate one which happens as Kutandavar festival.
Yeah.
So that has nothing to do with this particular festival.
Yeah.
And one of Arvan's demand is that his body can die, his head has to stay alive until the war is over.
Yeah.
That is one. The second is where I think it was Swarnavel who said that war is never staged, or you, Sashi, I don't remember. But there is this very interesting war that happens, not war, more a battle or a spat that happens between Bhima and Bakasura. Where Bhima impersonates Baka, goes through the village, gathers the rice. And then that fight itself is not one-sided, which is the most interesting fight, because each of them throw down each other. When any number of festivals I've seen that it's an equal fight. It's not as if Bhima can, like Ramarajan come and say boom, and then 20 Basuras are going to fall down. No, it's they fight equally. The third reference is the fourth wall breaking that happens constantly. And when Dhritarashtra is asked, can we invite the Pandavas to our palace and give them a good feast, and 2 bottles சரக்கு வாங்கிட்டு வந்து அவருக்கு கொடுத்துட்டோம்னாக்க நம்ம வந்து நல்லா அந்த விருந்தை கொடுக்கலாமே அப்படின்னு. ஏன்டா 2 கூட சேர்த்து எனக்கும் 1 வாங்கிட்டு வாயே அப்ப சொல்லுவானா இத அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அதை கேட்ட உடனே அந்த ஆடியன்ஸ், the response from the audience is also very interesting. So the performance itself is not the typical performance where it opens and closes, because there's this constant interaction with the audience, and the audience keeps responding, especially that is what keeps them awake. Yes, people sleep because it is something that goes on till it is tiredness, not because of disinterest or also pre-knowledge that this is what is going to come. The one thing that I did miss within your film, I only saw the film today, and that was the darkam that happens between Dushasana and Draupadi. That I did not find it in because Dushasana returns, tells Duryodhana she's refusing to come, and then he says, "No, no, go over, drag her and bring her here." He goes, drags her. There is the whole version where he drags her by her hair. So that version is missing. The fourth reference I wanted to know was the frescoes that you show. How do you relate them to what is happening in the festival ritual or this whole right path? Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, one thing as Pritam, you said, the theatre is not happening only on the theatre is happening everywhere. Every space in the village is a theatrical space, which is what is important. So in terms of this entire, as you rightly said, Kutandavar is a different festival. Here, Aravan is a different function. Again, I agree with you. And the third thing which you said that the question of Draupadi, which is important, is I gave it to the storytellers. Because the storytellers articulated in a very strong fashion. And you could see the audience getting Chennai, Totranano, that entire song and that thing. And then so I come to the Kuthu only for Draupadi's question, which is one unresolved question. Okay, this question, she addresses the entire Sabha.
தன்னை தோற்றவன் என்னை வைப்பானா.
Okay, so and it is articulated in Vili Bharatam much better than it was done in the particular Kuthu I shot. So I kept it in the Vili Bharatam. In the current thing which I've done, it is there in both Kuthu and a funny story is that because of Hildebetel has done some fantastic work on this, but there are 5 priests of the Draupadi Amman temple. Because of 5 in number, he had said that there are 5 Panchapandavas. And when I screened the film to Alf, he immediately said that he understood that these were Samayam, Ganachari, Kumar Vargam, had nothing to do with the Panchapandavas. Okay, they play multiple roles. They also play for the 5 Kauravas. So what happens in this Tugil, because they can't keep the entire cast, 100 Kauravas and 5 and Bhishmacharya and all that on stage, they invite these Samayam Ganachari, Kumar Vargam, to depute for the 5 elders in the village. But these, and in this particular village, which I was shooting right now, Mahabharata festival hadn't been done for about 12 years because of some internal conflicts. So what happened was that these people had read Cult of Draupadi by Hildebetel, and they thought that they were going to be playing the 5 Kauravas. The point when Draupadi addresses the elders of the village, the 5 people were Savyana. And the Kuthu actors were very angry. Suppose took them aside out of the stage, standing there in costume. Okay, so now can you hear? He said that you're not the Panchapandavas. The Panchapandavas are there already on stage. Okay, you are the 5 Kauravas. And said, please say who you are. Okay, said Bhishmachari, Kripachari, Ashwatthama, Sanjay. Then they were brought back on stage, and then the entire Kuthu was reenacted. But for 10 minutes, there was chaos. Because the actor playing Bhima on the Kuthu didn't know what he was supposed to do when this thing happened. So those things are lost in translation, which happens. But the thing is that people manage, and but that's also part of the festival. So it didn't mar the festival. So next year they'll recount this thing as a funny anecdote, and the people won't do it again. So that is the. I hope I've answered your question actually. Okay.
Okay.
And
Anyone
the
else?
the frescoes.
The frescoes. The frescoes, I've used I just wanted to suggest that idea of Mamallapuram. Okay, it comes in much. In 2 hours, it was impossible. My first cut for this film was about 8 hours. Okay, I had to cut it down to 6 hours, and my friend Kailasam was, what do you say, going mad. He was sitting down to editing together. So, and it was impossible. I shot this film in 2007. It took me about 4 years to figure out how to put it together. So it was quite a lot of thing, and so a lot of I have quite a lot in terms of the entire overall structure to inputs from Kailasam, and I should acknowledge them there actually. So, yeah.
I have few things to share if I am allowed to.
Yeah, sure.
Please go ahead.
First of all, good evening to all of you, and let me make a confession that I could watch the only one video out of
Okay.
3 because that's chapter 3 because it has subtitles, and the other 2 videos didn't have subtitles, or I missed, I don't know, so I couldn't watch the other 2 videos. So whatever I could gather from the first video, I'm going to confine my observations to
Okay.
that only. First of all, I would like to congratulate and thank you as a maker of the documentary, and also for sharing the videos by TFO. TFO has been promoting discussions, debates on such a wide variety of films. So a big applause to TFO and its team. It's very important to discuss such documentaries, I think, at a time when there are homogenizing tendencies by some so-called self-claimed cultural forces in India at a religious and cultural level. So a discussion on these kinds of documentaries is very important for us to focus on alternative or other kinds of cultural forms like folklore, folk tales, folk songs, folk performances, like what we saw in the video. And second point I would like to make out is sometimes many a times we always have 2 kinds of approaches, binary approaches while understanding folk performances. The first one is either it's going to be celebratory or it's going to be kind of a denigration of folk performances. These 2 approaches to folk performances or folk knowledge has always been there since since colonial times. Even now also these kinds of approaches exist. But the present documentary made by Sashikanth seems to be falling in between these 2 binary approaches. This is because the documentary does not celebrate, neither does it denigrate any part of the folk performance. It tries to bring out the heterogeneous voices. But somewhere I thought that the documentary could have been more sharp in bringing out more heterogeneous voices, heterogeneous approaches, thoughts about different forms of this epic that are witnessed in the in village of Tamil Nadu. Perhaps Nikhila was talking about the parallel text and the differences between these parallel texts. A folk narrative, folk performance. Perhaps it would have been more useful for us to talk about what could have been the differences between these forms of narration, forms of performance. That's the other point is I was also thinking about how the classical epics are understood by these folk performers. It definitely compels us to make a comparative study of classical epic, which is dominantly put forward everywhere at pan-Indian level right now in India or in the past, and the folk performances of the parts of the epic. It would be, I mean, as a research scholar or for the scholars, it would be wonderful for us to understand these 2 kinds of texts existing for comparative study, comparative perspective. So these are the few points that I could gather after watching the first video. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, here I would like to make a statement that the binary thing which you spoke about, no? I am also very conscious of that, and So I don't like this entire thing about folk tradition, classical tradition, because this is not in that kind of a sense. You can't call it folk because it has a larger dimension to it. There is a perspective on the Mahabharata. So the other way one gets around it is by calling it little tradition and greater tradition, which again is what you say will lead to derogatory kind of look. The entire thing is the core text is a 14th century. It's in High Tamil, okay, and it's people in the village understand it. For me, it took me some time to understand the Tamil, okay, but then it's what you said rendered by both the storytellers and the Kutu performers in colloquial contemporary Tamil. But the high Tamil is also there. High literary Tamil is also part of the entire performance. So you can't, what you say, reduce it to either little tradition, great tradition, folk, classical. These kind of binaries don't work there. So which is why I kept out of reducing it to binaries. I never call it as a folk festival. I never call it as, what do you say? So I keep referring to it as village tradition. It's a village, how the village remembers itself, and there are multiple layers of memory which each village is addressing, which is what is beautiful to me, and which is what I have done in the longer course. So if you're there, you can please join, and you see the entire thing. What is Nalla Pillai Bharatam? What is Vili Bharatam? All those are going, and what is the where they depart from Vyasa's Bharatam. So all that is there actually, and yeah, maybe for a comparative studies person like you, that might be very useful.
Well, it's nice to it's nice to hear you that you consider it as village tradition rather than considering it as folk performance or folklore like me.
Yeah.
Perhaps I should stand corrected by you. Thanks for that.
Yeah, no, not stand corrected, but I'm saying that because it is so dense, to use a word like folk would immediately underscore the importance. And that is what I was trying to emphasize by saying village tradition, village tradition. Okay, and the same kind of density you see in, what do you say, in Andhra, in southern Andhra, the same festival is performed. And it was a beautiful experience for me to watch it in Telugu. Okay, the only the Kuttu is in Tamil. The Bharatam is narrated in. So there is multiple, there are heterogeneous voices which come in this, which is what fascinates me, and which is what I was trying to articulate. In a 2-hour film, I don't think it would have overloaded information if I had positioned that. So maybe that's my problem. Okay, how to convey this amount of density of information in 2 hours was like impossible. So it's the film, the 2-hour film is an introduction to the work which I've been doing for the. There are 2 courses which I've already conducted in IIT. Third course will start in January, which will be the longest course.
So what you say is also true in case of other traditions that we find in Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, or elsewhere. Because I have tried to understand the tradition of Monteswami in southern Karnataka, in and around Mysore, Chamarajanagar, etc. And the Monteswami tradition is also heterogeneous in its form, and it differs from place to place also. While performing or narrating the story of Monteswami, it's so different that we hear heterogeneous voices in different parts of this region. And the text itself is something like it also tries to interrogate, or it also tries to problematize the classical narratives that we have been, which are part of part of syllabus, part of education right now. So these traditions are important for us to understand alternative or different voices, different forms of narratives that we keep hearing. That way, the documentary as well as the traditions that exist everywhere in India are important for us to understand and study them and highlight also.
Yeah. In Bangalore, there is this, a variation of this festival is done, but it's only ritual actually. It is Kalachipalaya Draupadi festival, which starts from a dargah. Okay, you might have seen it. You should go and see that Kalachipalayam festival. Which is also around that. These are basically done by Tamilians who were taken from northern Tamil Nadu to Bangalore to what do you say, all the Kabad Park, all your parks were built by these gardeners from Tamil Nadu. And they just carry a memory of the festival there, and it's a huge festival, Kalachipalayam. So one of my friends, Salam Benurkar, started documenting it, but he passed away before we could finish it. So I'm trying to persuade his cameraman Krishna to finish it actually. So we'll see how it happens. It is an interesting festival, and it will give a different perspective on the same thing which happens in Tamil Nadu, in southern Andhra Pradesh. So if time permits, I'll go and do the southern Andhra and the Karnataka chapters. This is wherever the Pallava region kingdom was there, it seems to have been performed. But though you can't make a hard and fast statement about it, but it seems to overlap with that area actually. Okay.
I'm also curious to know how the conservative pundits look at such traditions, because these traditions are about the so-called epic about the Mahabharata. This curiosity arises from the fact that this Montesami tradition in southern Karnataka is almost disliked by some of the conservative or extremist forces in North Karnataka, who would like to look at a particular way of understanding 12th century so-called revolution of the Baswana cult, to which Montesami tradition also makes reference implicitly, explicitly. So there is this cultural tension existing about the same culture, same 12th century episode in North Karnataka and Southern Karnataka. So we find this tension. Do you have you come across such things in relation to this village tradition?
No, in here it is more urban and rural. The urban people will think this, which is a kind of a class consciousness. The urban people will think that nothing is happening in these festivals, that people are shouting and all that, and they're not because in terms of time, unless you are willing to spend 20 hours a day and 20 days, you don't get to see the nature of the festival. My friend Pritam was speaking about, and Nikhila was speaking about people sleeping in the festival. That is because they know that in terms of the performance, in Kuthu, the violence only will start after about 2:33 when the children are asleep. Okay, and till then there'll be the Katekarno, the Sutradhar, will be cracking jokes and keeping the children entertained. And when the children go to sleep, then the hardcore drama will start. Okay, and the people know that, and because they can't, 20 hours, nobody on earth can remain awake for 20 days. They'll sleep in between. So, and the actors will run through the audience, waking them up when the actual dramatic scenes are supposed to happen. So it is, here it is urban and rural. No? That is the difference. Not like North Karnataka and South Karnataka. That is not the kind of a thing. And here they'll also say that this form is dying. But last year there were 450 festivals conducted actually. So, and the number of Kuthu groups, number of storytellers have increased. And the cost for conducting a festival has also, say, about 30 years back, they could conduct a festival without money. Now everything is being outsourced. Okay, the actors would come from the village itself, storytellers would come from the village itself. Now everybody has to be hired from outside. So the festivals cost 35 lakhs. Sorry, to 1 crore, which means that a village can afford to conduct a festival once in 3 years or once in 4 years. It's a huge, so when people call it a dying form and all that, I say, boss, you're crazy. People are spending this amount of money for the films we make. If I have about 100 people in the audience, I'll be damn happy. Here there are 10,000 people watching, and how can you call it a dying form? So it is only a form of class kind of judgment which people are making, and because they do not have the time and they have not seen the entire festival. So that is the kind of thing, and maybe that's also true about North Karnataka and South Karnataka. I have no idea. Okay, I would like to learn more about it. Maybe we'll write each other on email and check it up. Okay.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to come in now? Tarakeshwar, Murali Krishna, Rajan, yes, please go ahead.
Well, I enjoyed the film, and I thought it was something that I couldn't understand when I read Neelkant Shastri's History of South India, when he says that the Ramayana and the Mahabharata were written after the thorough colonization or Aryanization of the South happened, right? So actually the film proves that all these traditions that are there from a long time, as Professor Swarnavel mentioned in the beginning. Yeah, that's my comment. That's it.
It's very difficult to date. Say in Sangam poetry, there is a mention of Bharadam Padiya Perendevanar, or the Perendevanar who sang the Bharadam. But those, what the supposedly commissioned by Pandya king, but those texts are not available. And all the texts which are commissioned would have been performed. Okay, there was no question of text being written for reading. All are performative texts which we had. Okay, even Ramayana and Mahabharata are, like Swarnavel was saying, people would not keep the Mahabharata in their houses. You have to go out in a common space and somebody else has to read it for you. Because if the text was there in your house, there'll be fight between the family members and all that. So even the Ramayana is not kept in the house. Only Sundara Kantam is the only chapter which is allowed to be kept in the house. So these have to be, you have to watch the performance. You have to, that is the, but dating is impossible. So currently what we can say is that 14th century text is the core around which the festival is being performed. Okay, and other than that, but that also has incorporates the earlier renditions, and so I'm sorry, I'm not. One has to do much more rigorous research to see that where it comes from. So from the 2nd century at least, people know that the Mahabharata was being performed here, and even now, my friend Ravindran Sri Ramachandran says, in the month of Margazhi, that is December, January, it seems the Mahabharata would be read in Sanskrit, okay, and there'll be a Tamil storyteller who will narrate the entire Sanskrit thing to the local audience. So he says that it still happens, and one year it can be Mahabharata, other year it can be Ramayana. So it's a different. I have to see it actually. You just have to go there and here also in the, if you notice, there are two people, one a singer and the other a storyteller. It might have come from that space. Okay, that we don't like change. So whatever has worked once, we do that again. Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else who would like to come in? Tarakeshwar, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sashikanth, for this documentation and sharing it with us. It has a lot of rich resources that is evident in the kind of discussion it has generated here. And I think there was I thought there is some kind of tension in the this entire film in terms of documentation and pedagogy, trying to interpret it and then trying to explain it. Maybe it was also because you are trying to use it for a pedagogic purpose. So I think that overlaps. But in spite of that, it is natural tendency that we are trying to document. Our rational mind is also tries to interpret what we are documenting. So I think we can't keep them separately. So I'm not saying it as a kind of a shortcoming, but it adds a kind of layer to the documentation. So this interpretation and then the explanation and the even the interview of the experts who make a comment on that, even the participants also making a comment on it. So that was in that sense quite interesting. And about the other things, this about Karaga in Bangalore. Yes, this Karaga festival, which is now seen as a kind of a Bangalore festival, is basically organized by the Tigla community. Who call him themselves as Arya Vainikula Kshatriya community today. But it tries to encompass all the temples, dargahs that are that were there in the old Bangalore city. So in that sense, it is there. But the performative aspect is not there. It's mainly the Karaga carrying from one temple to another. The entire route, it happens the entire night, traveling, and then the people protecting the Draupadi who is carrying it. So in that sense, but the narration of the Mahabharata story and then the performance of the Mahabharata story and then the ritual related to Mahabharata story is not there. But of course, the temple itself is called Dharmaraya temple, and the main deity is Draupadi there. So there is a lot of similarities, but also there is difference. So as you said, it's worth comparing what is happening in the what we today call as Tamil Nadu and then what we today call as Bangalore in Karnataka. So that one part, and then the regarding the Pallava thing, it originated during the Pallava period. I think Pallavas were disappeared around 8th century. But both the texts that you refer to in Tamil about Mahabharata, they are post 9th century. One is 16th century, another is 19th century. So the which are related to the ritual come later, but the Pallava dynasty is much earlier. So I thought that raised some kind of chronological question in me. That is one thing. And then about the trying to superimpose this with Monteswami by Boratti, I thought that is slightly problematic. I think the problem with the Lingayat community in the north trying to object to Monteswami is more in terms of what they perceive as history proper, because which is constructed out of the Vachanas as well as the epics, written epics that were available and the inscriptions. But the Monteswami is completely oral. So it's a kind of written history versus oral memory, a kind of conflict that is happening there. But here, I think the contestation is more in terms of the memories themselves itself. So what when somebody is contesting the fellow who is narrating the Mahabharata story is that what they have seen and what they are hearing. That kind of memory contestation that is happening. So in that sense, the contradictions in memory is for us, but there's no contradiction for them. Yes, there is a contestation that is happening, but again, there it gets accepted as a kind of two variants, and my memory versus your memory kind of thing. Though the narrator tries to bring in textual evidence to prove that the Kannada story was not there in the written epic, so that there also is more kind of memory contest, but one trying to rely on the textual evidence, the other trying to rely on the oral memory or
Hmm.
the ritual memory or the performative memory, I thought.
Hmm.
In that sense, there is a layers of it. Yes, the question that was raised about is there an Indian way of thinking or Indian culture? This is quite interesting in the sense that there is a Mahabharata story in Sanskrit that is available. There is also a written Mahabharata in Tamil, which refers to the earlier Tamil text in the tradition while writing the Mahabharata, whether Villu Bharatam or the later 19th century text. So there are references to Tamil things. So in that sense, there are two texts. One is in Sanskrit, one is in Tamil, and then one is purely based on the performative and ritual aspect that has come down, which is mainly Kutu. This Sanskrit written tradition, Tamil written tradition, and then the performative memory tradition, they all jostle with each other and comes out in this 18-day festival. So that was quite interesting. There are tensions between the two, but tension between all the three, but all the three go together. So in that sense, I thought it is quite interesting again. I will stop here. I think I'm taking too much of time. If there is anything else, I will come back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else who wants to come in? Swarnavel, if you're around, you're welcome to intervene again. Anyone else who wants to speak? Gandhi, Balasubramanian, Shankar Ramaswamy.
Only one
Please go
thing.
ahead. Yeah, please.
The quorum copper plates given by Parameshwaravarman I, it was 560. That mentions about the grants given to the storyteller of Bharatam. And Perunthavanar's text was written in the 9th century.
Nandhivarma Pallava Commission.
Yeah. So these are the two clarifications.
The Pallava thing is mentioned in the larger, the current work which I'm doing. Nandhivarma Pallava, and this person has mentioned this actually.
Even Mahendra mentions in Mamandur cave about Panjali. That was 630. So we have references for that.
Thank and Gandhi Balasubramanian has been one of the people I have been working with on this project. So it was quite nice to see him online, and he has been he has led me to a lot of these places which I've shot, and the Pallava connection is very largely there.
The Pallava kings, guardian deity, Potharaja. Pallava's name is called as Potharasar. Potharaja, both are same.
That is to answer you, Tarkeshwarji, because the guardian deity of all these temples in Tamil Nadu is a king warrior called Potharaja. And Potharaja is how the Pallava kings were addressed. So these are indications that the festival originated in the Pallava time. So all the first respects will be given to Potharaja before the festival starts. And only then so there is this, no other king was addressed as Potharaja. So it could only be the Pallavas, and unless one, so that is the strong indication. And the Pallavas also commissioned from Simhavishnu time, poets like Bharavi to write Kiratarjanam, which is portions of it which are performed as ritual and storytelling and theatre here in the festival.
Kiratarjanam is Arjuna Tapas, right?
Arjuna Tapas.
And Aravan is also, it is still played in Indonesia's leather puppet.
Oh, I did not know that. What is it?
Called as Iravan in Indonesia.
Oh, okay. This is the same narrative?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And they have this Navagandam, no? The Pallavas used to have. The same thing Aravan does before the Kali, right?
Okay. If you have any photographs, I'll include that actually. next.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it
Okay, thanks.
to you. Thank you, Sashi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tarkish, you are unmuted, yeah.
thank you for that information. I was not saying that the Pallavas had no role in it, but of course, as you are suggesting, the Pallavas might have had a role in commissioning certain text to be written, because court used to function in terms of patronizing the poets and writers. So that might have been there. And even if there might be, the state used to function in terms of commissioning the temples, and then even they might have ordered the festival, but the performance as such, I don't know whether it can go back to it, because they rely on the later text. Even when you say it is 9th
No,
century.
actually, sorry for interrupting. Kiratarjunam is depicted in Kailasanathar temple. It belongs to Pallava period. The war between Kirata and Arjuna. It is very well depicted in many temples, but earlier temple is Kailasanathar temple of Kanchi. It was built in 7th century.
Okay, thank you again. No,
And one more thing which I would like to mention is when I spoke to the storytellers about the Pallava origin to the festival, they got very angry. They said the festival was organized by the person who got these festivals first organized was a king called Sunita Maharaja, who was a great grand descendant of Arjuna, and he wanted to kill. There was a demon called Asulamaswaran or Rochakan, who was a grand descendant of Bakasura, who was killed by Bhima, who wanted to destroy the lineage of the Pandavas totally. And this Sunita Maharaja was unable. So Draupadi was born again in Tamil Nadu to kill this demon, or this Asura. And that's when this entire Mahabharata festival started in Tamil Nadu. So it goes, that is what, according to oral tradition, that is a claim. So, but for us, we'll say that the closest we have seen is the Pallava period.
Yeah, again, thank you for those information. That's what I was trying to hint at. There are layers of it. Even the Ramayana and Mahabharata story and Vishnu stories, they're all there even in the Jaina Puranas, Padma Purana or Pavuma Charivu in Prakrit. So in that sense, Jaina traditions and even Buddhist traditions have reference to Rama, and then things like that. So these stories existed. Whether they can be attributed to Vyasa's Mahabharata and that coming into Tamil Nadu is a different issue. Or when that came, the already existing stories here were made compatible with that. Or even when they were made compatible, there seems to be some kind of tension between the two. The oral memory of the participants claiming that it has a different origin again shows that. So there are tensions between these various layers that has accumulated over millennium now. So it is not simply 10 years, 20 years, or 100 years, or even 1,000 years. It's more than 1,000 years story.
Definitely, sir. Sorry for interrupting. A Sangam poem, I know it says about Perunjor Trudian. It seems he gave food for the Pandavas during the Mahabharata war. That text was really old. Maybe it belongs to 1st century or 2nd century.
But it's not available right now. You mentioned that.
No, that thing is there in the Sangam literature. I'll give you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Shankar Ramaswamy, please come in, and Tarkeshwar, you can come back again after Shankar Ramaswamy speaks. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, can you hear me? Thank you very much for this film and these materials, and also on your Vimeo channel there are some short videos, including Avashish Nandi responding, I believe, to this film or a set of your films. So it's all very instructive, and look forward to where you're taking this with your courses and everything. I have a question about the 2-hour film, Sashikanth, because in the beginning of the film, in fact, maybe through much of the film, it really can seem like Draupadi is the main presence in this whole production, this whole performance. But when you get to the part of Karna's introduction and death, and the way that that is presented, including the catharsis that occurs with the killing of Karna, it can start to seem like Karna is actually the hero of this Mahabharata, and somehow the central emotional and existential anchor of this production. And I was curious to know, is that happening in this production? That because Draupadi is also, I guess, the main addressee, but then when you have this focus on Karna, I almost felt like the weight shifted somewhere to the Karna figure, and then of course you go to Duryodhana. I wanted to just ask your reaction to this because it was a bit unexpected to me. Secondly, just about Karna, is there any inclusion of the samvad of Karna and Kunti or Karna and Krishna before that, before he has that discussion with his wife? Is that included in the production but was not in the film, or is that not?
No, I have there is a huge actually the two things. Karna is very important in this festival because the entire festival is seen as anti-war. The later Kutu, which will come in the course, the Ashwamedha Yagam, where Arjuna takes Karna's son under his wing and he's killed. The entire guilt for the entire Pandavas is about so many people had lost their lives for this petty desire for land. And the ultimate, the thing is Karna. So for all of them grieve, and the Dharmaraja Yudhishthira curses all women that they'll not be able to keep a secret. Because that is mentioned very clearly. He says that if Kunti had said that Karna was the elder son, Dharmaraja or Yudhishthira wouldn't have gone to war. And even, what do you say, Duryodhana, if Karna was his best friend, would have not contested the kingship, and there would have been peace. There wouldn't have been war. So that is why Karna becomes important in this, according to me. And Draupadi, because she's a representative of all people unjustly affected by war. She doesn't. So that is according to the narrative part of it. But in the when the storytellers give the background, they clearly say that Draupadi was born to, like Sita was born to destroy the Rakshasas on earth. Draupadi was born to destroy the royal dynasties. And Krishna accepted to Mother Earth or Bhuma Devi's request to reduce the burden on her. Draupadi and Krishna actually won the war. And while Dharmaraja does not want the war, perspectives are presented. In a 2-hour film, it's not possible to present this amount of nuances. In the 31-hour presentation, I'll be addressing that. So that might answer more questions. Thank you. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Tarkeshwar, you want to come back again?
Yeah, just I wanted to respond to what you said about the translation. Of course, they can be considered as the translation because there must have been some story and then it has got transformed. And if you're looking at these transformations, not simply in terms of intersemiotic translation of oral narrative becoming a kind of performative text and then performance becoming a ritual, not in that sense, but in terms of how the stories travel and when they travel, how they get transformed. And in this documentary, I can see those layers, though they are not translation, there's a a kind of intertextual elements that are there in the performances. So where they refer to the text, not directly, but some element of that text might have been incorporated. In fact, in Tamil, the names of some of the deities and then are different. In Sanskrit, they are different. So they coming together of these two things itself, and then making them as equivalent. Itself, I look at it as a kind of a translation. And what is the politics of this translation that has happened over nearly 2 millennium would be quite interesting to look at. It will unravel the making of both the Tamil culture and the Indian culture, what we call today as Tamil culture and Indian culture. Thank you.
Yeah, here I'll make one sec. Both in the Kuthu and in the storytelling in Vilibharatam, it begins with an apology by the writer and by the Sutradhara, the Kattikaran. So in the Vilibharatam, the writer says that an illiterate like me has, what you say, tried to convey whatever I've understood of Vyasa's Mahabharata. If there are any mistakes, the mistakes are mine only, and please forgive me for that. It is not of the great man. So that's how this starts. In Kuthu, the Kattikaran says that obviously there'll be errors in our performance, so please forgive us. And he says, please forgive us as of beating the children in your house when they do some mistakes. Okay, so the onus of truth, neither the writer or the Kuthu performer claims that they are presenting the truth. The truth is always open, and you have to search for it. So, and that is why it's also necessary. There are multiple renditions, and there are contestations are important for that. To say that Karna was happily married man and he didn't have any trouble with his wife is the text actually. But here to show Karna in that fashion, so it raises a question: what was the truth about Karna? So it is so the onus of finding the truth is on the audience. It's not what you say the responsibility of the Kuthu actor. The storyteller says that I am conveying what I understood from this. Maybe my understanding is not. It's a very humble kind of thing to say, but that is the opening statement. So this idea of, and it's not a translation exactly. It's like it's an invocation. If you look at Vilibharatam and all that, Vyasa's text is huge. This is just about what you say, 4,500 verses. So each verse invokes an entire narrative, actually. And the storyteller is needed who has read multiple versions of the Bharatam to narrate it. These are 4 terse lines of poetry. So it's not a translation, it's in the classical sense of the word. It's an invocation. I hope that I'm making that clear, actually.
Yeah. With regard to the question about Draupadi being one of the being the addressee, I find that very moving actually. That she is the addressee of this Kuthu and the entire festival, because a particular kind, I mean, a wrong that has been done to her, how it is narrativized and kind of returned to her. There's something very beautiful about the way it is narrated, as it were, realizing that a great wrong has been done to her, and making that in some ways, making her realize that through narrative we are on your side, as it were. So I found that that you picked up this as the title, as well as that this is the structuring principle of the entire festival. Very, very moving, I thought. Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
the way people remember it, and the way they want to, through narrative, undo in some ways what has been done. I thought that was extremely moving. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else who wants to come in? Any other points to be made? Madhurima, Rasha, Vijay Sarathi, Sridhar. Okay. If there is nothing else, Swarnavel, any last points that you want to come back to make?
Is it Swarnavel?
Maybe he's okay. So in which case, let me thank you, Sashikanth, very
you.
much for allowing us to watch the film and allowing this discussion to happen on Talking Films Online.
Okay.
It's wonderful. After a long time, we have had such an intense and elaborate discussion on TFO, and I think that's all due to your film. And also due to the wonderful introduction that Swarnavel gave to the film to begin with. Thank you very much, Swarnavel, for agreeing to do this for TFO. Thanks to everyone who joined the discussion today. We meet online every Saturday at 9 p.m. With a pre-decided film, links to which we share via our WhatsApp and Facebook groups. So if you want to join the discussion, please join these groups to get weekly updates. Thank you all. Good night and have a happy weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Nirmala.
Shashikanth.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Swarnavel.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good night.
Night. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
See you next week. Good night.
Yeah. Okay.